Alright, they fucking did it. Yes, today we have a review that will be for one of those popular movies, so probably not a whole lot of views, but The Batman. Now, I know what you're thinking. Another one? Yes, another Batman. I know. We're seeing it's a tale as old as time. It's something I rally against with Disney recycling their old IPs, but like, I don't know. This is different, I guess, for me. Maybe I'm biased because I really like Batman, but like, I wouldn't say remaking Batman, because every time you see a new Batman, a new Superman, Spider-Man, it's all, the same character. It's beats from the universe and all that, the existing world of these characters and that they're in, but they're being reimagined, either for a less realistic, a more realistic, a modern audience. Take your pick. But here we are again. We have The Batman, which came out this year, 2022. I was on the fence about this when the announcement was first made, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. But as more and more information came to light and more details about filming and characters and casting came to light, I started to slowly come around. And then when the actual trailers started releasing, oh boy, I was sold. I was here for it. Directed by Matt Reeves, a name that I was unfamiliar with, but it does have like an established filmography in Hollywood. And most notably and most recently, he's directed 2 of the 3 remake Planet of the Apes movies, Dawn of Planet of the Apes and War of Planet of the Apes. I will admit, I'm sorry, cardinal sin, I have not seen them. I have been told they are fantastico, especially the last 2. So it's on my list. The guy knows his way around a camera. And boy does it show in this fucking movie. Holy shit. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. A lot of people are here for this film because of one reason. And it's funny when I ask people like, oh, why, you've heard about this? How have you heard about this? The Batman is being played by one of my favorite actors in Hollywood, Robert Pattinson. Now, you see him, I know what you're thinking, you plebes. You're like, Edward, the vampire, the sparkling vampire from Twilight? This is the cowl of a killer, Bella? Yes, that guy, but he has a filmography. You know him from Twilight. I know him from Good Time, Devil All the Time, The Lighthouse, just to name a few. Those are the go-to ones where it's like you want to see actual like good performances. I think he's a fantastic actor, and I love seeing him pop up in more and more things. And to see him cast as the Batman, I was like, okay, I love him. This is different, but let's see. I'll allow it. Let's go in for it. Opposite Robert Pattinson as Batman, we have Zoe Kravitz as the Catwoman, Selina Kyle. A different and, dare I say, more realistic take on Catwoman. As realistic as seeing the Gotham TV show. That was a bit more grounded, but usually it's not always the most grounded character. But in this one, more realistic. But funny thing about Zoe Kravitz, like, she has a filmography, but it's not extensive per se. I suppose the most recent 2 things you could pull up, like recently, what you might know her from, there was like an HBO Now exclusive movie of sorts called Kimmy that was pretty good. It was pretty good. I might do a review for it. I'm on the fence about it. And also there was a show she was in that I think was canceled after 1 season called High Fidelity. I don't know if it's any good or not, but I've heard good things. So she doesn't have a large and very well-known filmography. She's, daughter of Lenny Kravitz, if I'm not mistaken, who people, I think, know that name more. But anyway, here she is, and she's Catwoman. Again, get to that in a moment. The other most notable character to mention, and there are definitely a few honorable mentions, but also the main antagonist of this is, the Riddler, played by Paul Dano, which I also like Paul Dano. Again, he's one of those actors where, like, you want to be like, oh my god, I know that name, like, big household name. But you might know him from some stuff. If you ever saw There Will Be Blood, he was the do-gooder preacher in that film, opposite Daniel Radcliffe in Swiss Army Man. He's a good actor, even popped up in Okja, if you like that movie. But he's unique in that he's one of those actors where to me, I know him. I know he's very talented, but not a lot of people know Paul Dano. He's not really a household name, like I said before. Screw it, we'll just go ahead and get right into it. The pros for the film. Yeah, I fucking love this. This was great. I really enjoyed this film. I wouldn't call it perfection. It's near perfection, but I was worried, and then I started to see some reviews leaking. IGN thinks it's perfection for sure, and a lot of people on Rotten Tomatoes also kind of. Critics, more or less, like, it's still fresh. Some critics are like, like they're on the fence about it. Audience score, as you can see, definitely a lot of people like this movie. I really enjoyed this. So much so where this is me after the theater. Like, I didn't really make any notes per se. I just kind of know that I have an overwhelming amount of positive to talk about. This review is going to be, I'm not going to hint at what happens. I don't really want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. Best things about this film. It is immaculately shot, at least to me anyway. I think the cinematography, the direction, the visuals, the aesthetic, oh my god, fucking nailed it in this movie. I love it. It feels dark and gritty in a broken Gotham that's people are trying to salvage it, but there's just so much corruption and crime and just violence and all this. It's like, it feels like Gotham City, like that's it. And it's just like this city just drenched in darkness and rain, and just the vibe is just like, oh my god, like it's nailed. It's great. And so many good creative shots in this film, things that like placing the camera somewhere you might not normally place it to give the shot a new frame and to give new like visual context, or to like play with the characters and the environments. Like, there's such creativity behind this camera. It's so easy just to film a film and put a camera there and be like, got it, done, we're done. No, like they're taking the camera everywhere. They're using it in all sorts of creative ways and really getting you into it. This film has some intense moments and some great action. You can tell what's going on. It's never unclear. The action is shot spectacularly. It's like this just like detective thriller, dark noir, just oh my god, it's chef's kiss. It's great. Matt Reeves, you fucking nailed it, man. You have my respect. And people were skeptical about Robert Pattinson being Batman. I think he does a really good job of being his own Batman. I think like he's one of my favorites probably. I think this movie, it's hard to say a movie would be like ever as good or top The Dark Knight, especially if it's like you're talking about Batman. But this is like a worthy contender, and if we have another trilogy, we could be looking at like a worthy contender of like, oh, what's going to be the better movie, the better trilogy? I'm here for it. I'm here to see what direction it goes. Seeing Robert Pattinson in this role where it's like he's not a seasoned origin story is out of the way. Everybody knows. Director even said, we all know what the fuck happens. Like we all know what happens to Bruce Wayne. Like we get the story. So we're a couple years in, but he's still young, but he's like a young, leaner, like quicker, but still just brutal, like kind of like what Joker would say, one bad day away from being me. Like, he's not killing people, but damn, is he putting these mothers in the hospital. Like, jeez, he's about like, he's slamming these guys down, I tell you. I'm just treading over what reviews have already said, but he's able to play this, like, he's still like this kid in there. It's just like this broken kid who is just so much conflict and anger and just frustration. Like, where's he gonna take it? And just takes it out on the criminal scum of the underworld. But like, moments where he needs to come through with the emotion he does, and moments where he has to be more subdued, he does a very good job of being his own version of the Batman and Bruce Wayne, and I think both were more than serviceable. I think both are admirable, respectable, and can go down in the history of good Batmen, if you know what I'm saying. Zoe Kravitz is Catwoman. Great job. Like, way to bring me a layered Catwoman who has emotional drive, who has importance, and who has agency in the story. She was brought into the story well. She was handled well in the story. She was her own person, and yet also had that relationship that with the juxtaposed and also in sync sometimes with Batman. I think that her scenes were also great. Her fighting style was different, but it was cool and fun to watch. And she was a character. Like, again, great job. And yes, everybody's talking about Paul Dano's Riddler. Like, again, I'm just retreading over the same ground. I agree with what the reviews and the critics have said. Hot take, he might be my favorite Riddler. I hate to hop on these bandwagons and all that. You know, we always love a flamboyant Jim Carrey Riddler, or like, oh, I'll tell you what, Batman. But like, something about just seeing, I believe this Riddler more, because in a real world, that's the kind of Riddler that exists, you know? This like Zodiac killer, inspiring groups of incels, this guy who's just like going out there and just like murdering people and doing these sick, twisted games and all that for the Caped Crusader to solve. Like, his, without giving anything away, obviously, Paul Dano's portrayal of the Riddler, like I said, maybe my favorite portrayal of the Riddler to date. I liked his take on it. I like him as an actor. I like what he did with the character a lot. It works. I love Jeffrey Wright as, not Commissioner Gordon, but Detective Gordon, soon to be Commissioner. Yeah, just a really good Detective Gordon. I like Jeffrey Wright. He's great. I want to see him get more like leading roles. We're seeing all these supporting roles in, you know, Westworld or in No Time to Die. I would love to see him in more leading roles in the future, hopefully. Not to say this was a leading role per se. It was still like supporting cast, but you get what I'm saying. I like the casting choice of Andy Serkis as as Alfred Pennyworth. Like, I like it. One of my only cons of the film, I'll go over in a minute, and does involve him. If this says anything, this film is nearly 3 hours, currently on record as the longest Batman film to date, and it flew by. This film flew by in the best of ways. One of the biggest cons I have personally about this film is that I wanted more. I think the trailers, while they didn't show too much, they showed a lot of what was like, you know, action and going to be in the movie and kind of the general idea. And I was just like, I was hoping for more and more and more. And every time there was another scene, I was like, give me more of this, give me further this, show me more. I was wanting so much more. And it's so rare for a film to be this long and for me to be like, that was it? Well, come on, give me some more. And like, you know, one can make an argument like, oh, they could have shaved off some time. Sure, I guess if you don't like long movies, then I get it, but I like good long movies, and this was both good and also a long movie. Grounded, it was dark, it was gritty, it was intense. There were some intense moments in this. There was a solid like detective mystery spiraling through this whole thing. Characters well portrayed, nice little Easter eggs for Batman and DC fans. I'm keeping this pretty vague. All things considered, the only negative I have to say about this is that, alright, so I mentioned Andy Serkis. I would like to have seen more of him in the movie. I wanted to see more of his character. There was good character, played with Bruce Wayne in the story and the narrative, and that worked well, but I wanted more, and I think that we were kind of robbed of that. Not in like a, oh my god, it affects the movie so badly, but if I have to nitpick, then yeah, I would have liked to have seen more Andy Serkis Alfred. Like, I would have liked to have seen more of that. But honestly, even like side villainous characters, seeing what Colin Farrell as the Penguin, as Oswald Cobblepot, like, cool. That was cool. He did a really good job. He wasn't the central focus of the film, but yet he was still an integral part of the story. And it was a cool penguin. Like, it was just like, it just, I don't know, just a realistic, believable penguin. No characters in this film were overly bombastic or cartoonish or unbelievable. Everybody was very human and believable, from the small-time thugs to the crime bosses to the psychotic serial killers. Like, it all was believable. Honestly, at this point, I'm just prattling on in circles. If you like Batman, go see it. If you love Batman, go see it. If you like good movies that match any of those criteria, I mean, it's just, I definitely don't think you have to be a fan of Batman to see it. Granted, I know a good amount of Batman, like DC backstory and characters, so I recognize locations, I recognized characters and names, but even if you're going in completely blind, you're like, I don't know who these people are, I think you'd still catch on pretty well to the general idea of what's going on in the film, which is a positive. The fact that the film works both as a Batman film but also as a film on its own two legs. Like, and I will say, no spoilers, again, I keep saying that, I want to make sure that's clear, but hot take, while this might not be the best Batman film to exist, it has what I believe to be the best Batman, like, chase scene. Just the way that, oh my god, the way that the whole scene is like shot, the audio mix, the effects, the visuals, the intensity, I fucking loved that shit. That was great. Say what you want about the the tumbler chase with the RPG and Joker semi-truck in Dark Knight is great, but I think this just might top it. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I loved this film. I think it's near perfect. I'm definitely probably gonna go see it again, maybe in 4DX. I saw it in IMAX, still worth it in IMAX. I would 100% recommend IMAX. I'm sure 4DX, if you get a chance to, would be a worthy contender. But I digress. Overall, I give the Batman, I don't know if it's because I haven't stewed on it long enough or if I just legit can't think of any detractions from the film, but I think the film worked on every level it was attempting to work on, and my enjoyment, I really enjoyed it. And my only complaints are that I would have liked to have seen a bit more character usage from a character or two here. I wanted more, just more of everything I was already seeing, but just more of it. Give me another movie, maybe another like 30 minutes to this. I don't know. I was hungry for more. Dig deep enough, then you can maybe find like a couple inconsistencies, maybe in the plot, or some like ex machina moments, or some like small logic holes where you're like, wait, he didn't solve this, or how come this? Did he found out this through this? Like, sure, if you want to pick it apart, you could, but for my very, very small list of very few reasons, I would still give The Batman a low 5 out of 5, honestly. A low 5 out of 5. I can't call this perfect because I don't think it checked every single tiny little perfect box. I don't have complaints, but I do have personal preferences and what I would have liked to have seen more of. And I think that seeing more of Alfred, seeing more of just all what I was already seeing, but just dug even deeper into, that would have been cool. But I didn't, and that's still okay. Like I said, this movie is fucking fantastic. I loved this. It's beautifully shot. The score, the soundtrack, the new Batman theme combined with the Riddler's theme, and then the orchestration that's used throughout, and how it goes from creepy to oddly angelic to scary to dark to, oh my god, the score in this is, again, it's great, out of the park. Directing, visually speaking, cinematography, the action, the suspense, the horror, oh my god, there's a scene you'll see in the first 5 minutes where you're just like, oh shit, like it's great. They did a really good job with this one, and I'm very relieved, because out of all the adaptations we've been seeing recently, like we saw, Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, which was just like, just poorly adapted from the source material. We saw Uncharted, which was surprisingly decently adapted, but plenty of room for complaints. But this, The Batman, like, great adaptation of source material, taking its own direction, while taking elements and honoring what already exists. There's elements of other Batman movies, television, lore, video games, a little bit of everything is kind of like brought into this and shown, again, whether it's small stuff that fans would know or just, nods to pre-existing Batman mythos and characters that are out there. It was just nice to see, like, hey, this movie's like, hey, we're our own thing, but we know what our roots are, and paying respect to that as well. It shows they're doing it for, for themselves, for moviegoers, and for fans as well. And it was nice seeing it in a nearly sold-out IMAX showing on opening night. It was great. People actually applauded. It was super nice. I thought people only did that in Marvel films now, but no. People applauded here and there. There was some cheers here and there at certain points of the film, even at the end. Not a standing ovation, but at the end, the whole theater, we all clapped. We were just all happy. We really enjoyed that. It was fucking great. So I could, please go see it. I mean, support it if it's your thing. If not, I totally get it. But this is 110% worth it in theaters. If you can, IMAX. If you can, RPX, IMAX, 4DX, whatever your best experience available is, it is worth it. Just because, in a similar vein of going to see Dune, part of it is an experience. A visual one, auditory, a cinematic one, and also the Caped Crusader, dark passenger on this journey. Just check it out. I won't prattle on too much longer. That's my review of The Batman. I try to keep it general, no spoilers. I thought it was a damn near perfect movie. Is it as good or better than The Dark Knight? I wouldn't say it's better. It's hard, very hard to top The Dark Knight, but you guys remember, Batman Begins was really good, Dark Knight was perfection as a film, and then you had Dark Knight Rises, which was still really good, but kind of went a little bit down from that. we could be seeing a similar thing, I hope, with The Batman. Then we can get the Batman sequel. That could be the next Dark Knight. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. So far, critics like it, and I think it's performing well. They certainly dumped enough money into this and enough partnerships with different companies. If you have any disagreements, agreements, comments, likes, whatever, as usual, throw them on down there. And that's all I got for you. Thank you guys and gals so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned for the next episode of whatever I make. But in the meantime, goodbye, and be on the pursuit of justice.